of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody this morning. Jeremy, he's joining us through Zoom, so I will do my best to lead the meeting this morning. So first on the agenda, approval of minutes from the February meeting. Any additions or corrections?
Move the be adopted.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor, I guess we'll just go with the legal way of approving the minutes as presented. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Presentation of clerk's report. Everybody have a chance to look through that. I think it was emailed.
Yes.
Motion to approve the clerk's report. Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the clerk's report, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Like special consideration, Judge Mead.
Good morning, I've got three things. The first is real quick. It's my understanding DPD is going to be putting an order in for some handguns, requesting for.
Hey, Derek.
Add one for the arm bailiff, okay, for handgun purposes. I've got a present thing that it will be probation, computers, 2004-0442. So I can pay for it.
No.
Additional tag. Okay. So I can also give you the price.
Or government, we go. Think about how eventually we're gonna be buying guns this year.
Say that again.
Eventually, Prince Police Department will be buying guns this year.
Okay.
They found out about it and Chuck Fairby got a hold of me. I told them absolutely, I can order whatever they need at our price. And they'll double invoice me.
Okay.
Mine.
Okay.
Doesn't mean the papers me mine is. You know,
Okay.
that's all good.
All
So,
right.
yeah, no, we can split it.
Okay.
We're good with that.
All right. So just it's I was doing something else whenever you started out. So it was an additional, or as you say, just a
Just the approval.
just approval?
I can take all of it.
Okay.
There's no reason.
I mean, if we need a motion, I'll make a motion. that we
Let's
allow-
make a motion just to,
I'll make a motion, we allow that to keep for guns out of that special. Second.
we have a motion by Derek and second by Dan. All those in favor of the motion to allow the purchase, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and just as a addition here, I was up in Knox County, if you guys, where we do our, this going to hopefully take us right into security. I'm gonna let Dave talk about that just briefly. Where we're at on the courthouse security. We've got some numbers. We should be getting ready to get that sent out. Okay, but I was up in Knox. If you're up in Knox County, check in the courthouse. It's top notch. Okay, I was up there with former trooper that is up there. You walk in, of course, they got the metal detectors, 2 deputies. They've actually got a deputy in each courtroom. Just saying, don't, you guys do what you want to do. But as far as cameras and so forth, they got 83 cameras. They've got a giant screen right there that the deputies watch. They've got cameras in the courtroom, which I think is great. All they do, click a button. They keep up this one giant thing. It's probably got 16 monitors all built in it. They are on top of security. So I was very impressed with Knox County. It's the best I've seen yet. I've been on the courthouse. That's top notch. Swing by there. So I'm gonna turn this over to Dave. Dave's gonna give us an update on where we're at on the numbers. You guys were approved some funding for that. So I'll let him tell us where we're at on that. And then we're gonna go to the probation building. I think I've got, did everybody get a copy of that? I sent out a couple of weeks ago. 3 proposals for the probation, public defender's office and pretrial. Dave's got it here. He's gonna show that. So first option 1 is remodel the old building. Okay, option 2 is build on a green spot just north of there. And then option 3 would be new building plus the EMS building attached to it. Okay, and it'll be up to you guys how you want to proceed on that. The only concern that Lisa and I have to talk about is if we do add the EMS building on it, we may sacrifice the parking. So that is an issue. So, I'm gonna turn this over to Dave, and Dave can go through what he's got here for us.
Dave's always landmark. The update on security, the generator systems, the installation for our part of the security is complete, and ready to actually approve and go out to bid. You need to get with the attorney and get the package complete for that information. The numbers, I didn't bring in updated numbers on the security on that. That's, the numbers are what they were before. We may have a few savings things in terms of what we end up getting to do as far as the routing for the generator system that getting the generator from the power source and so forth, the main switch gear. So the that turned out to be a little less pricey than we thought it would have to be, trying to go around the building and so on and so forth. We actually got routed to the building halfway through that. So that's budget for bidding purposes. I think we stay where we are, but I'm optimistic that we should be in approval on that, on those numbers. So that is, like I said, I just need to get with the attorney and get language and get it ready to advertise for bid, whatever that process is. Kind of a brief, but there's not a lot of change other than we've done our homework as far as the design aspects of it. I'll read that thing very short. Hand it out.
These will coincide with what he has on the board. Get the other copies made for the rest.
You know, the site on this here. Yeah. The first one's the Kevin handout. That's just smaller than what we're looking at up here. What I tried to do is put just the basic information here just so we can look at well, I think it's the most important thing. I think so the first one up is the renovation.
We wrote out of this.
So this would be the renovation. This is the original concept of renovation. This building, the numbers on that first sheet. The first one. Okay.
I'm ready, that's fine.
Square footage is
It's you.
outlined there for the various renovation, get vendors. Changes in the building area. Budget on that work is at $720,000. Now that includes, as well as the side roofs, which I'll over in a second, point those things out. The budgeting that I did and got together, I actually worked with two contractors in Evansville, Empire, and I had spent some time with Danny over our construction help. But its numbers are very volatile right now. Insanely frustrating. They're all the map steel prices 5 times what they were. Having some subcontractors I talked to, like wood framing versus metal stud framing, for years metal stud was always a little more money, a little better end product, I think. But right now, I've heard for a while it's higher to go wood and higher to go metal, depending on who you're talking to. So I talk to these guys because normally you pull out your RS means or you pull all your different sources of data, and it should be about this much a square foot. You can almost toss that in the air right now and say, hey, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. But recent conversation, like I say, sitting down with 2 reputable companies and saying, hey, help me work through the budgets for this. What do you think of this and this? So I had asked them to help with that, and they have done that. So I try not to inflate or deflate. I try to get those budgets as accurately as I honestly can. For the obvious reasons, trying to make big decisions. And so I say this is the one time it's been frustrating to say the least. It's kind of like you, someone's going to show the number high. You can't tell. I said, steel joist prices, I checked on the big project. That company was jumped from 400 a ton to 1,700 a ton. So it's like those volatilities in steel as an example, those are actually quoted down. I'm like, okay, that's really encouraging. So that affects metal studs and all down the line. So again, the first concept at that number, site-wise, we had included the existing building, Main Street Avenue, and north to the north is up here. So look at overlaying, this is part of making this additional paving. We can strive, we can integrate it with this, when we strive it and be more efficient. We can change this around. A number of ways we can do this and get good parking there. So that was the first, that was the renovate. I'll just make a statement. Been doing this a long time, and I guess I'll hear an opinion about something. Renovating old buildings is a challenge. We've looked at it pretty hardcore. There are still things that come up to bite you, and I guess I'll use the word caution that, in this case, not only do we have volatility in numbers, we don't know whether there's dead mortar in areas of the wall. For example, we're going to cut in windows. If you get a building this old, maybe we're good to go. Maybe we're all of a sudden standing there trying to say, well, how are we going to cut windows in this? We cut into this and this mortar's dead. It's literally falling apart on us. Just to cite a few things, the roof deck, until we rip it all the way off. I mean, you can't go up there. It's like geotech testing of dirt. You go over here and it's great. You go over here 25 feet, it's junk, and it's the same holds true for the roof. So, looking at the building in general, leaning walls and some of the things I see, yeah, we can do it, but it's an old tire building with a lot of issues. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We'll go whatever way you guys want to go. We'll do everything we can to make everything happen, but it's just an old shoulder. Interrupt me anytime with any questions.
Okay.
It's good time. That's kind of move on, so next. The A version, this second version is the, basically building new and we'll renovate occupancies. We do pick up a little more square footage because in the renovation project, we lost something like 800 square feet, I think it was, in the overall square footage. Up here and that we replaced storage. It didn't really, it just got lost in our layouts. So, and again, with the site, in this case, on this version, we were looking at building the building. It would be to the north of the existing building with the intention of being able to build it first and come back. And if we want to, take the other building down at that point and use it for parking and paving. So that's kind of an option thing we can look at. And could do that, as like I said, we look at the dollars and cents side of it all, build the new, move into that.
The demo site improvements, if we were demo center, did that include putting down asphalt, making that?
I'll have to hang on. Let's see, that was the,
bottom line. The parking I could see would be a major issue unless we demo and put that down.
yes, that was the improvements. I think I budgeted 35,000, if I remember correctly, 40 there out in the old building. So that you get right.
Gotcha.
Really, again, it's an option of that. There's some questions about it. Otherwise, we can reconfigure the layouts between those, obviously, and before we move on entities on and step back and try and get better handle on construction type where we go one or the other. We'll work that very quickly, hard to make good decisions on materials and how we do this.
This is the water country parking lot.
Well, and then if you add the EMS building.
Down right there. So he just pulled number 3 down. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, actually between probation and PD office, we have 15 people, and then Andy's office is over there in weights and measures. So 2, 3, and then I don't know how many EMS has, too. There's not enough parking over there. And then if you put the ambulance service there, I don't know if people are gonna park, we have clients coming in and probationers coming in, so, yeah.
Hey, Riley, I got a question for you. Are you ready for this?
All right.
The judge tells me he's ready. What action do we need, if any, to get this going? We've had the money ready for this for 2 years. And our judges are doing a wonderful job with their programs of home detention and different things, working probate and all like this. I think it's past time that we get underway with this program. They've been maintaining a level in the jail that's outstanding. Let's help them with their program here and get all of this going. I appreciate your presentation. The judge tells me it's ready for him. Jay Riley tells me it's ready for he and possibly, I don't know, there's another police chief or somebody maybe around here someplace. And sometimes it's hard for him to make up his mind, but I think he's made up his mind too. So let's go with whatever it takes here. And McGraw, keep up the good work.
Well, I might have been a long time ago. Let me ask you this real quick. I think Mr. Pond would echo it, and I've talked to Warren Fleetwood and other commissioners. We definitely got to do something about Station 3 English, please. I like this idea, but I'm with Lisa that I think we'll destroy parking, so I don't know if we can attach it now. In this whole process, this is going to be a commissioner's decision. I'm just asking, financially speaking, if we were to take this design and put it on a lot that we already own really, really close, is that going to increase, decrease, over blow up costs?
When we move to a new lot, I guess the things that might impact it, first of all, the pay, we've got monies that we pay in every combination.
Right.
So generally speaking, it shouldn't be a major swing. Things that impact our access, if there's utility issues to get the sewer, water, and those kinds of things. Those things, street related, I guess I'll say, and tying into it, those are costs that can occur. Building, obviously the building doesn't care where it's built. I'm gonna say we've got some paving in every one of these, so probably some premium, but it shouldn't be substantial unless we're setting it on a property that's not got sewer for 3 blocks. And all of a sudden you got 100,000 with a sewer line put in or something of that sort.
So building the 2 buildings together is not really cost savings.
Not much, I mean, a little bit, but probably, my opinion, probably not enough to make it something that you really, really need to do. A little savings, but the other things.
Let's say we did this project and 2 years later we came back and did EMS, or we did this project and while doing this project, you build EMS at another site while doing this. Would that not keep costs down?
Actually, the way I've got this put together was the previous, which was to build the probation, the vendors, and for that, the A version of that. The next version, the last version I've got here behind this one is the one to do the EMS separately on a separate lot. And that was, we've kind of run numbers on that before. A lot of the numbers did jump up a little bit, just talking to those guys. Next time, I don't tell you something I don't believe.
Right.
But we have those two combinations separately. And then we have they said, then we have this version of it. So you can honestly add the two numbers together to see the difference. If you're going new lot to new lot, probably having them all on one lots, everything on one campus. Would be real probably
That's
better.
the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're definitely. All right, I've already seen, good. I've done some preliminary on data on that, so, to my understanding, there's no major issues there on that lot. No, go ahead.
I'm not trying to interject myself into this, but I've not been asked much about this at all. And I was wanting to address something real quick, as far as the EMS station part of it, okay? We are, we've talked about this before, we are all in favor of getting a new station. The thing is that I wanted to impress upon you too, is Princeton, as far as the city, and all of the surrounding of Princeton, has really increased in the amount of run volume. There's going to come a point, and I'm not saying it's here yet, but there's going to come a point, if the community keeps growing as is, we're going to probably need a second unit here in the Princeton area. And nobody likes to hear that because it's money, but I'm just trying to stress, with a second unit, that means we're going to have more living quarters for whatever we're talking about here. And so anyway, I just wanted to impress upon you that I would like to be involved in this conversation if I can, but also I want to tell you that this is going to be an issue down the road. And I didn't want to see us do like Vanderbilt County Jail did. They built a jail and then all at once, just a few years later, now it's too small. And I want to just say something to you about it because I can see in the real near future that we're going to have to address because we just can't, keep enough units right now the way it is. A lot of times we're calling for mutual aid. So I just wanted to talk to you about that, and if I can have any input on this, I'd like to. If I could. So.
I can follow up with it, just ask you one question, if you don't mind. If you, a second, are you talking about this being an expansion to the present building or another location?
Well, see, I hadn't even seen this picture of this, so I didn't know really what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
And what I noticed the best is I see there's like one bedroom or two bedrooms, okay, combined. Well, if we're talking two crews, we're gonna have to have more than that, just that alone. And again, I've not really had a chance to look at this, but I wanted to make sure that everybody realizes that there's gonna be a point that, if we can plan ahead and build it to accommodate the future, I would rather see it than trying to figure this out later down the road.
Right, so yeah, so it could be on the same property, so we just need to pay attention to the fact that.
This is a design plan at the end of the day, make sure you have enough bed space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you see what I'm saying, because if we have two people versus four people there, it makes a difference. Even in, bathrooms, whatever. I mean, we just need to make sure that we have enough space. And I just wanted to bring that up because I didn't want to bring it up later that all once, after the job's done, that you don't have enough space.
Yeah.
So.
I just got a quick question on your figures here. I don't see the one that's probably on there. One other.
That was the, combined with everything to be.
31B.
31B.
I mean, the question I asked has actually been answered before. You got a combination, then you got a single one and recycling.
Right.
You do ultimately save some money there. But,
Right.
right. Okay, I've got three.
if I made it, does it make sense to put a basement under some or all of this building just for storage and future expansion? I don't know if we, since it's a commercial building, built a code, if it's gonna go into a whole different level of handicap accessibility or, you know, how that goes, but I just, in a residential setting, right, you'd be able to build a building for basement for quite a bit cheaper than you could build a building. I didn't know if that was something that had been considered.
We did not look at doing that. We'll have some ADA things to address that are, but they're cost. Maybe different things.
The problem with the basement here is we've had enough basement issues in this building that we're sitting in right now. That flooded 4 or 5 times already, and there's a lot of buildings from Trinity, but.
One of the things. Well, yeah, anything, any service provider is exactly right. Any service provider on the level has to, you have to be accessible to that other level. Also, kind of you think in terms of egress, you'll be required definitely to stair towers out of this, I'm sure, no matter what we do. So all of a sudden you take that square footage, and it is less expensive to build a basement, but the flip side of the coin is now you lose square footage, you're gonna lose 1,500 square feet, 300 on your main level and your lower level that's now used for stair tower and maneuvering in front of the stairs is, it's just a quick grab. So you're gonna lose easily 1,000 square foot. So wherever we pick up downstairs, we drop 1,000 or so off of that in usable area. But yeah, the excess, and then water and those things can be controlled, but it seems like history's taught us that no matter how smart we think we are, we do have problems with water penetration, depending on your soils and that. So
My rough math on this, the public defender's office is about 30% of that. How much can you back, Lisa?
Well, 40%, but I have to apply for it, so I don't want to say we're guaranteed the 40%. They compare it to like other buildings in the area, what we could rent for and things like that. Yeah. And we may get the full 40. I just don't want to promise you because we have to apply for it and there's things they look at.
So of the 30% of this building, we maybe go get 40% of that reimbursed. Okay.
The only other thing I had was, they said this was the B version of this was with everything on the site, and the last, of course, was more or less from before the other property.
Right. I like that version, but I'm with her. Parking's already scarce.
Yeah.
We can't, there's no way that one's gonna work.
No, there's not enough parking. If you go look over there now, there's not enough room for probation in the PD office to park. I don't know how many people he has, but there's no way with trucks. I mean, there's no way.
Give you my opinion,
Yeah.
is there a necessity on the EMS and it gets changed, or we just trying to accomplish something, maybe the.
Here's where I'm at on it. It's a great question. Here's where I'm at. Number one, they have a terrible building up there. It's nothing against the hospital, it's nothing against EMS, but we've been renting that. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, since 1981. We could have built 20 EMS stations had we gotten behind that a long time ago for the amount of rent that we pay. The hospital's been a great landlord to us because the rent's not what it could be, but I think it's time that we take ownership and quit leaking money out. We gotta plug the water leak eventually. Because we can rent for 100 million years, we're gonna own this one. So at the end of the day, to me, yes, I think we need it. Again, I think ultimately that's a commissioner's decision when we decide to fund it, obviously, but I think we need more. I want to say.
Well, if I can add to that, one thing too, that building, it's a block building and it's not well insulated. So we pay a lot, past the rent, we pay quite a bit for heating that building all the time. And with anything newer, I'm assuming it's gonna be a lot more economic to heat and air, and cool. So we would be, if we can get something done now while you guys are looking at all this, and we could maybe, save on heating and cooling, and we wouldn't be renting either, so. So I wanted to just make a point too, that like I was saying, I know nobody wants to talk about money, I understand that. But, I see some of you guys smiling under your mask, but the thing is, you know, it is one of those things I wanted to stress that the Brun Valley here in the Princeton, Suffolk Township, White River Township has increased significantly. And so much of the time, we're having to have other units come in. And then we have a run over wherever else, and there's, you know, we're gonna need eventually to address this, and, I'm not saying we're there yet, but I just wanted to, again, put that out there, so you guys are thinking about this as far as you're planning on doing something now.
You know, in your comments on the rent and utilities, it might be helpful to, if you could maybe pull some numbers together and say, okay, this is what the annual rent is. This is what the utilities, we may have that from budget time and all that, but just to kind of say that we're paying X amount for rent, utilities average this. Are we responsible for any repairs?
No, they pretty much take care of the repairs. Now,
So,
you know, I mean, we do things just with our own furnishings, but
Right.
that's ours, you know.
yeah. So I mean, we just have to look at it as far as, you know, it's a known fixed cost plus utilities, whereas whenever you own the building, guess what? Well, you've got depreciation, you've got
That
maintenance,
is the downside.
insurance and all that,
We
so.
have to take care of, you know, any, you know, maintenance of the building and stuff. However, even at that, I think we still, especially new building, we'd be money ahead for years, you know. There's gonna be less maintenance early on, you know, I say that, sure enough,
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, it's, a lot of times you're better off owning your own building and doing what you want and all that, but sometimes, you know, if the rent is really, really cheap, you know, you just have to look at it. So, I mean, the option could be is, I don't know, if they want and they desire to have an ambulance based right at the hospital, you know, do we approach the hospital and say, we're either gonna move or you're gonna improve what we've got. So, you know.
I personally, I don't think that makes much of a difference, but we have one here in Princeton.
Sure.
I mean, it's not like we're making an emergency run to the hospital. It's not that much of a difference from in town to, so as far as, you know, do they want us there? I don't know.
Sure.
You know, I've heard in the past that the maintenance department wouldn't have minded to have that extra room or just maintenance. But that's just, you know, they've never told me that, but I've heard that through different sources. So,
This location with the overpass for 2 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, and honestly, their calls aren't at the hospital, they're in town.
Right.
In town, so I think that's a push
Yeah.
on the question.
It's just thinking outside the box, you know, you may approach them and they say, yeah, well, we'd really like to have that site part of our campus and we're willing to build a new ambulance base and we'll maintain it. You just pay us the rent. So, you know, that's a possibility. I don't know, but you know, I'm not opposed. I'm just thinking outside the box. But
Of the three options, Derek, if you won't mind, but I think of the three options, Judge Craig and I would go with the option, the new building without the EMS building attachment because of the limitation of parking.
Absolutely.
It's really just that simple.
I don't think that's an option, attacking EMS, I really don't see that.
Maybe remodel the old building, I think it,
Yeah, I don't think remodeling.
yeah, I'm against the remodel of the ode.
I'm on number 2 as well.
Yeah.
Same here.
Deal with EMS later. That's my feeling.
and that gives EMS time to get the plans tweaked to exactly what their needs are. So,
But I didn't see in the drawing, we're gonna need about 188 jail cells in there somewhere, so if you guys can. figure it out.
all of that fine.
So I'm not familiar with my streets and all that, Derek, where the EMS is off by itself. Is that
For standard training.
where the standard printing used to
It'd
be?
off Prince, but you gotta get on the Brumfield right through.
Okay.
So it'd be.
I understand where it's at.
They'd be hopping right on Brumfield and getting right out.
That's good access too, because if you're on Brumfield, you can go all the way, you know, over the overpass out west.
Right. I just wasn't familiar with my street
I
names.
think we consider ourselves funding this.
I like number 2 with the option of adding I think we need to figure that out.
We come up with money to do that too. On Prince Street.
But I don't think you're quite to that point as far as, if they haven't had conversations with the director as far as,
Well, that's a design.
that's the design and all that. So I mean, I don't know that you commit.
I don't think any director's gonna stop building a new building.
No, but I mean, I think,
No, I wouldn't stop yet. The only thing is I'd like I said, I'd just like to impress upon you that a few things that I'm thinking of for the future that we may want to get addressed. And
right.
Here's the question for the park, carbon course.
We got to set up, so they know what to do.
Well, it's almost, I guess, open for discussion and all that, but I think as a group, we basically said that we're more inclined with the layout or design of 3.1A. Is that correct?
3.1, yeah.
And, you know, it's,
I know we can conceded over 600 some thousand to the court security. What's that put our budget at from the, you know?
you have fund balance for that team building.
2.093 million.
And that is still, that doesn't include paying out the 600.
Right.
So 2.1.
930 million.
Still over 2 million. 3.1.
Yes, 907.
I mean, I would.
So Judge, and as far as this layout and all that, that meets all of, with this design of 3.1A, that meets what you need to accomplish and all that.
Public defenders, pretrial services, Lisa and I went over those plans several times. We're good to go.
Well, despite what Bill says, I'm ready to make a decision.
So Lisa, one more time, as far as if we're looking at this design 3.1A, that will meet the requirements for your department. And then based on that square footage, we could be reimbursed
40%.
40%, up to.
Of my area.
About 28% of the total cost we could be reimbursed.
Now, the reimbursement, that's just each initially, or how's that?
One time.
It's one time and I apply for it after we get things started. Like I even have the bill from the architect, like all the bills as we go along. If I can get copies of everything, then I apply for all of it after we get it started. And I have to have the PD commission, they have to come down and you know, look at it, do an on-site inspection and everything.
When we get reimbursed, can that go into the cap or does that go to the?
Say that again?
It can go back into the capital fund.
So, okay.
Well, I'm willing to make a motion today that we allot a dollar figure and allow the commissioners to start working on developing 3.1 within our budget standards.
I was just I was just trying to do one quick calculation. So if the total building cost, this is directed towards Lisa, I guess. If the total is like $907,000 and the square footage is roughly 40% devoted to your department.
28%.
So it's 40% of the 28%.
Yeah, so you have to get 20% of that, and then whatever that number is, 40% of that will be eligible to get back. So it's 28% of 907,000.
A little over $250,000.
And then we could get 40% of that back. So it's 100,000.
A little over 100, yes. That's what I was trying to figure out that
Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're gonna have about 800,000 when she gets all hers reimbursed. But we're gonna have the upfront the 907, which I don't like odd numbers. I'd rather say 910. I mean, one of those.
I mean, the ventilation, be at the end anyway, but everything's in there.
Right. Jeremy?
I think we need to move ahead with it as well. What, I didn't hear, Jay was inaudible when he talked, but did you have a dollar amount? Derek?
We're looking at 907 to be exact. I think do we have any soft cost Wolverines, were we gonna exceed 907?
I've got our cost on it, we have that.
So what do you think? Is your max budget that you're not gonna hit?
Normally, I would be defensive of that right now, I agree.
Too high, too high. 899.99.
We got, the local permitting, and all those kinds of, the obvious stuff.
So you might check on that for the future as far as that reimbursement that we would get if that can go back into that Cume building. As far as I know.
I mean, if we say 1 million, not to exceed 1 million. Which we know you're gonna do due diligence.
You make 1 million. you'll
Actually,
stay here.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'll do a little.
Saying 10% soft cost every time. I mean, you're looking at right at a million, probably a little over a million, honestly. We gotta set it somewhere. What do you want to do? Come back for more?
900.
Well, I mean, it's already at 907, so.
And they have zero hard costs built into
They gotta find a way to cut 7 out of it.
that. I'm comfortable with 950.
There's 950 being discussed. I mean, as far as we understand that there's a possibility that they have to come back. But at least, everybody I would agree, would agree that 950 sounds better than an even million, but.
Jeremy?
If there's anything wrong, going ahead and letting them take bids. We don't have to.
Well, we gotta set a budget.
Well, I think we just need to set a budget and then if we come back.
The first time with the jail, so we gotta set a budget and let them know what to look at. That way they can start looking.
Well, then if we do that, if you make it 925 or 910, it covers.
Still go down,
Right.
come in.
The motion will be not to exceed 925, not to spend 925, but not to exceed or 950 or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that your motion?
I'll make the motion. but we need to
Do the 925.
I'm gonna go with 950. I'm gonna go with 950. I'll make a motion to allow commissioners to start the process working on this, not to exceed $950 million.
950,000, please. Whoa, whoa.
Say that motion real quick.
Hey, Derek, make your mind up.
$1,000.
Whoa, get that horseback in the barn. That is gonna include that jail in the basement.
We're gonna have we're building a courthouse. $950,000. Let's make sure that's right. Is my motion correct, Mike?
So we have,
a motion to add 950,000.
we have a motion by Derek, to allow up to $950,000 to be obligated from the Cume Building Fund or Cume Capital Fund. We have a second. Jay Raleigh seconds the motion at the stated amount of $950,000. All kidding aside, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Now you're talking about me making a decision.
So we have,
What would be?
6 and 1.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted this project, Bill.
Yeah. Just say, move on with this project when you explain.
Progress, Judge.
Progress, yes.
Your excuse, sir.
Commissioner, Mike, Ken Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, I guess we're ready for department reports. EMS,
For the end of the month, the report for February, we had 242 runs for the month. 88 was statements of release. There was 3 fire responses. 2 dead on arrival. Lifeline we didn't call. Let's see. We went to 2 times to jails for a total of 337 total runs altogether. Total year to date bill was $525,603.20. Total year to date collected was $193,961.88. Percentage collected was 36.9%. I think I gave all you guys all this information, so you should have it with you. As far as new accounts, not been billed yet, was $247,439.20. Collections for the month was $103,964.94. The write-off amounts that we had to do was $3,661.40. And then the insurance adjustments that we had to make was $10,845.89. Any questions on that?
and we did start, you signed up with a collection, someone to help with the collection.
Right now, she's still getting the information together, so this is not showing that yet.
Right.
So we're getting the information together to send to them. So, right now, it's not reflecting anything from the collection.
Yeah, because I think each year at the bit, this first couple, 3 months, we're always a little shy on our revenues, because if we project that out, we're looking just a little over $1.1 million. So that'd be kind of a lot less than what we've been seeing here for a while. So maybe that'll improve through March and going forward here.
Well, at least that's our hopes, that we
Right.
can get a little better, collection.
Sure.
When you do the collection, are you going back to the beginning of when they quit doing that, or is it just from here on out?
My understanding, the only thing I've been, was aware of for sure was they were going to try to do last year. And my understanding was that it ended towards the end of the year before. But, that's, so, they're going to be doing hopefully last year's, and then whatever we have coming, the present. Of course, that takes a little bit of time, they're not going to send it to a collection agency right off the bat, but yeah.
Any other questions for EMS? Thank you very much.
Okay, hey, by the way, you guys do change that to 900 and something million.
We'll get a nice annual.
I'll talk to you about
Yeah.
that. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And I addressed the council, since we were talking about the EMS, when we were looking at this whole thing, so that's just on the back burner.
My ears are not closed to that topic yet.
We just wanted to go with, I think, the most important thing that we needed to do.
And keep going.
And we address that at a later date.
I think
I think there's a little work that can still be done on the EMS side of that.
so he's more or less saying that the times we have now, is probably not gonna work here. So,
I think we need to have a better conversation with commissioners on that as well, see what their plans are.
Yeah, it's not, it's not a dead issue as far as I'm concerned. It's just that I think we addressed the one that was the most pressing
Right.
at this point in time. And then it was, information was brought to us that parking was an issue and size could be an issue. And in his position, maybe he hasn't been consulted as far as what he needs or perceives that he would need in the future. So, yeah, it's still up for discussion as far as I'd be concerned.
Go back.
Yeah, just, yeah. Sheriff?
I've given you a copy of the money that we collected and turned over to the auditor's office. Only other thing I had was the jail population for February. Looks like our high count was 101. And the population today is 92.
92? Any questions for Sheriff Bottoms?
And anybody out?
No, nobody's been. We've releasing people that when their time is served or they're bonding out, so forth. Otherwise, we're just dealing with this.
I had a question and I think I answered it correctly. An individual was asking me, you know, we have the process with the jail that's being discussed and all that. Years ago, we were housing, state inmates and all that. But since they reclassified these level 6 and all that, those were individuals that used to be sent to a state level facility. But if they're a resident of Gibson County, they are housed in our local jail. Is that correct?
Well,
As a level 6?
They're convicted.
they're
Convicted.
It could be anybody from anywhere.
So the key word, that's where I misspoke. So it's, if you are convicted of an offense in Gibson County,
Yes.
then you will serve your time in Gibson County. It's just not you're a resident. Okay, all right. I said that wrong because I said that you had to be a resident, but it's if you're convicted of the crime or offense in the county, that's where you serve your time at.
Yes.
Whereas in the past, you might have been sent to another state-run facility or whatever then.
You would have been.
You would have been. Okay. And then that person also asked me, are those facilities closed? Are they still in operation? They are all still in operation, the state is?
You know, they've got the same problem we've got with viruses and everything else, you know, they're trying to deal with it.
But their numbers, they're probably not as full as what they used to
That's
be.
the reason the state passed this, we had to take our level.
They were full too.
They passed the buck down, but didn't throw no money or anything.
Okay.
If they do folks, you bring
Did they?
Okay. That was just a question that was asked in the last 3 weeks and I thought I answered a question, but it popped in my head. So thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Other departments?
Morning.
Morning.
Here's our report. And also what we're putting out for the community, that we have vaccines to use up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Been vaccinated? I'm old enough now, but I haven't yet.
Yeah.
I had
We can
another,
make that appointment for you.
well,
One tomorrow.
Yeah, we have-
Yeah.
Friday, we open the day because we have like 820 vaccines.
okay. I have to wait another week because I had another vaccination that said I had to wait, so. I didn't think it was gonna come this quick, so that's good for everyone. Very good.
Yeah, and our numbers are going down on our positive cases. In January, we had 811, and in February, we had 145, so that's definitely a good number.
Good sign.
So that's very important, why everyone needs to go get vaccinated and still be wearing your mask.
Come on.
So in question with that, I've noticed that, like DuBois County has had a couple of mass or special vaccination. How do they determine which counties? Is it just a request or how, do you know how
I
that
think
works?
they just send it out to them, that's the way I understand it.
Okay.
And then whoever wants to go, which we don't really have an area to do that with.
Mhm.
That would be big enough to social distance and all
Okay.
that.
Yeah, when you look at the counties in Southwest Indiana, I mean, they're with the exception of Evansville and Warwick, I mean, their numbers are pretty high as far as vaccinations. But I know that I have family that lives up there and they've had at least 2 or 3 special Saturdays where they've vaccinated a tremendous amount of people each time. So,
Right, and I don't know if they consider that like a simple part of an area,
Mhm.
that's the reason they're being chosen, I'm not really sure. about that.
sure. Yeah, but I mean, from what I've been hearing, everything's going really well. As far as the vaccination, I mean, I have family members from Jasper that come here to get vaccinated because they could get in here faster than up there. So appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. We really want to thank all of our volunteers that come and help us in the evenings, because you do it all day long, you're getting a little wore out by the end of the day. And we do appreciate everyone that's doing that for us.
So you have individuals from the public that have been volunteering to help with,
Mostly the county workers, we have,
Really?
auditor's office has been helping us in the evenings,
wow,
and then Kay comes and helps us.
wow.
So anybody that would like to volunteer, you could just let us know and we'll be more than happy to put you to work.
What do they have to do?
Mostly, it would just depends. If you want to do a computer job, we can show you real quick
No
on that.
shots, so.
No, that is not necessary.
I'm not coming the day you're there, Mike. Not a dartboard. Yeah. Have any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other departments? Since Rick has sat down, he can stand back up. I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Principal. I mean.
Principal?
Being held out in the hallway.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time again this morning. I emailed a copy of our news for Revise EDA to everybody. I hand delivered a copy to Mr. Collins. I did have his email. Did everybody get a copy?
Yes.
This is something we're going to be looking at today. It's, well, I'm sure you need Yeah, hot now? All right, I'll have to make sure I get your. Anybody else need- I'll got your-
I have an extra.
Ma'am? Don't steal my thunder, okay? No.
You don't have to go long, Rick, trust me, we're good with short
You
meetings.
see, I'm the guy that you need to be the first, and we're bringing money to you all right? We want to help you with your expenditures, but, in answering, Jay's question there, it is basically your, economic corridor that you have all along Highway 41. The commissioners have asked us to basically pull back from that and we work with, Mr. Waters as well, to, bring back some of that area, to possibly develop that in any other way you may see fit, other than solar. And also in doing that, we have acquired more ground down in our southern EPA portion that we're looking at that pink area to offset some of that we gave back. Been a very busy last 30 days for us. Since the last meeting, we've been working with the commissioners on the ordinance. And I also emailed and gave Mr. McConnell several copies of our support letters, not just from landowners, but a few of your taxing units that have been gracious enough to meet with me to see the tax dollars that are proposed to come their way from this project alone in Gibson area. But it has been a great pleasure, learned a lot. My diary is filling up daily with folks that we have met with, some 45 minutes, some of these have been a couple hours long. Great questions, and it has progressed and showed us that we really need to move forward now to a public hearing, which is our next step, so that we can get everybody together. You all can hear their concerns, their questions, the support that is there for this, and then also from our company and expanding a lot more on the Baker Tilly reports with the potential tax revenue that we will be bringing to the county on this side along with the Elliott project. So
We just got back before you again today seeking your preliminary approval, but we wanted to show you the map from the original one. It came really close to 41 and a lot of area there. So we have honored that wish to pull back out of your economic development area. And again, showing that we've also worked with some of the issues and stipulations put in the ordinance that we will be having to adhere to as well. Been a pleasure, and hopefully we continue to work with you all, both the taxing and our governing bodies that we have here in our county. But it is a project that you have seen the initial report, but we need support and need to be able to work for this to make it happen. Pretty rated economic loss, and it does have the potential to go somewhere else. I know Jared mentioned that. I believe one or two of them might be online with me today, but we have a lot of other meetings we're attending, and feel like that I would report with you all that we can get this accomplished today to get us to our public hearing and be able to then either work with Jeremy and Craig to set a date, whether we either do this at your next meeting or prior to. I don't know, you've been having some pretty lengthy meetings. I think we want to give the due diligence and time for the public and you all to weigh in on it. So it might need to be a separate date, but sometime before that next meeting, we would like to bring everybody together. But we're seeking your blessing today for the preliminary approval and to be able to do this.
And I think I'm correct when I'm telling, because this here is not where all this is not going to be solar panels.
No. This is the EDA, like Elliot, where we could go, but we're coming to an agreement, or we're seeking an agreement, and we will not go outside of that. No. I do not have the exact acreage with me today, but it's just about, it will be a little bigger than the Elliott. Roughly 2,000, 2,500. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't hold me to it. But no, when you're looking at that footprint, that's just the agreement that we will never go outside of that with this proposal that we come before you.
So the changes in the map have come about since it was presented in February through discussions with commissioners and
our economic development.
And
yes.
economic development.
Yeah, they've asked us to just pull back so they might have potential to develop that in other avenues. And so in doing that, then we also have acquired more ground so that we're going to keep we got to keep on line with the Baker Tilly report and trying to keep the apples and apples here so that we, the agreement that we go into, and nothing changes on that.
So I guess I would be of the opinion that it should be a separate meeting like the last time.
Yeah.
On a different day and probably of an evening. And with that meeting, would there be revised numbers? Because whenever it was we went through the overview there a month ago, we was looking at it coming all the way to 41 basically and all that. So will those numbers be much different, you think, or have they looked at that?
It's my understanding they're going to be relatively the same, Craig, because that is why we pulled down so that we can continue the same agreement, that we're not asking for a bigger abatement or a change versus you guys getting a little less on the other.
Okay.
And there's been great interest too, since you all have allowed us another 30 days to work with people. And there's been a lot of folks even outside these areas on all the counties now that are getting more interested in it. But this is where we're focused at right now. And so that's why I think it's crucial that we move to this hearing and then move to the next phases so that, because again, I'm dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. And it's nice that you all I can keep track of all the questions. I can keep sending you letters of support, but I think it's time that we all get to hear both sides and being able to make it happen, because there is a great potential for a loss here for $250 million investing coming in, plus all the tax revenues each year. It sure helps a lot of our other projects here that we're looking at.
Okay. So really, the only thing we're looking at that's different than it was 30 days ago is after speaking with Economic Development and Commissioners. We've shifted acreage away from 41 to southeast, it looks like.
Right, all we did was just reduce.
The total acreage, total footprint is roughly the same. It's just that it's moved away from the 41 corridor.
Exactly.
Well, I guess, like we did the last time, and we voted to have a meeting of an evening, so rather than trying to incorporate that with the April council meeting, I think an evening meeting on a separate day would be probably the appropriate way to handle it.
I would agree with that. I'd like to see it at a venue that where if people, you know, whether we could have it at the event center or some larger venue than where we are now.
I would echo those thoughts because I think that there will be more people that will be interested in looking at the map and asking questions and voicing opinions and all that. So, you know, if the event center would be a location that would.
We used the courthouse the last time, and I don't know how that'll set up with your video, but you can do it. As long as this is mobile, or you can take it with you, I don't know. Yeah. You all will need to be present from our side as well as video in, but we can make that happen with our own IT stuff as well.
We're not mobile anymore. I mean, well, a laptop camera and the speakers is about, you know, that's what we did last time over there too, was pointing tablets, and it was low tech.
Right.
And this system is not portable.
Yeah.
We'll have most of our folks, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it'd just be important that they be there because if we move it off site, you know, so it's easier access, easier parking and all that, you know, they would need to be available for
That's
us.
what we heard at the courthouse, it was limited tough on parking and things of that.
Well, parking and stairs or elevators and all that, whereas it's easy in, easy out at the fairgrounds. So.
Yeah, do you want to set the date now, or do you want to wait? Because what we're looking for is just later in March, 1st of April, closer to the meeting, but what works for you all is, for sure, it's important. We're gonna be able to have time to get this out to everybody. I've got a phone list I'll be working with, so we'll use the media as well to get this out.
March 30th.
I think we need to make sure we've got a venue, a location available on that date or any date that we choose.
I suggest this move fast as possible with reasonable approaches, but looking to a quick start of construction and the like.
What's that?
Do you have a time that's 30th?
No, I mean, that was just one, as far as sitting in the seat and not having to make this before, I mean, as far as, is something that you would arrange the venue, or is that something the county arranges, or how's this? I have no idea how that would, the last time it was just set, it was at the courthouse. Jeremy, did you arrange that, or who did, the auditor, or how did that happen? Do you remember?
I do not recall. That was under Jay's rule, wasn't it?
We can arrange it and get
I was gonna say, we'll make it happen.
Okay.
You guys just give us the date and vote. That's on.
So you guys could arrange, make sure that the event center would be available and all that. Do you want to give, as a council and all that, Dan?
The grading board that they're coming here. That's a middle school.
I know working at school, a lot of the outside stuff.
Right, still your mask and COVID and everything.
Yeah.
They're cutting back a lot of the outside.
Right. Yeah, it's, okay, that's a good idea, but yeah, I'd say in a different time, it might be to utilize the school, but maybe in this situation, it'd be better to be off-site at the event center if it's available.
You can throw out a couple of days, Rick and I can take care of it.
Okay. So I've heard the 30th. Probably, what time was it the last time? Was it a 6 or 6:30?
We had a daytime one that I remember, because we were in the courthouse during the daytime. But I
Yeah.
don't know about the first one, because
Yeah,
we had to readjust that EDA, and this is what we're wanting to make sure.
right.
We tried to stay with the same proposal here, that maybe all durations, because,
Right. Ken, what time are your evening meetings for commissioners usually? 6:30,
5:30.
5:30?
First, 5:30, the next is 5.
Okay. Anytime after. Yeah, I was thinking 6 or 6:30 myself, but,
Your problem with having two votes here, having one in the morning for people that work at night. I mean,
yeah. So the 30th is a possibility. What's another date that would work for, unless I'm on spring break, that sounds good to me, because,
yeah, starting to get close to that time.
yeah. That's probably the week of spring break for the school too, isn't it? That isn't Oakland. Yours is the week before. Yeah, I think maybe theirs is too. So we'll be getting ready to plant corn. So the 30th, how about another date? Anybody else? You want to do the 30th or the 1st? Skip the Wednesday evening since you can't do the 1st?
I can't do the 30th.
You can Zoom.
But I won't be available on first.
All right, well, let's, I guess, see, what about the 29th, 30th, or the 1st, if any one of those three are available?
Okay.
You want to make it an even 6 or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30.
Time to go for it.
Okay. 6:30, either on the 29th, 30th, or 1st. Is that in agreement? Do we need a motion for that, or is it just discussion?
We need a motion for that because
It's just,
Right.
it's a meeting, isn't it?
Well, I
I think you had to, I think.
all right, let's,
On the last one.
yeah, okay, let's have a motion to either have a meeting on the EDA to take place either on the 29th, 30th, or the 1st of April. The 29th or 30th of March or the 1st of April at the Toyota Event Center at 6:30 in the evening. Mr. Stillwell made a motion.
This will be for the Gibson Solar.
Gibson Solar.
Confusion.
Okay, yeah, this is for the Gibson Solar
EDA.
EDA, because the other one is already went down it's in,
No, it's not going down.
no, I mean, it's already went through that process. I didn't mean down, I meant it's went through the process.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Jeremy seconds. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
We'll just get back to Mike. Is that okay?
That'd be fine. And then,
He's
yeah, we're good. We're 7. So,
And then separate from that, do we need to approve the resolution for like the preliminary resolution, or did that vote suffice?
Oh, Mary's with us.
Hello, this is Mary Soliday. Can you all hear me?
yes,
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just wanted to jump in real quick. Yes, it'd be great if we could have a separate vote on the preliminary resolution, which is, I think everybody knows, does not bind the council to ultimately grant abatement. It's the first step in the process. But because we need that to happen before we could ever set a final hearing, we really appreciate your consideration of that preliminary resolution today. Jason Spindler has the copy, as well as Mike, the auditor, and it does reflect the new map you all were just discussing.
We need
resolution, motion to pass that.
I guess a motion to pass the preliminary resolution. I guess I have a few questions that with the map changing and, just the valuations and all that it's different than what we looked at.
Panels mount up.
Right, but I mean, location makes a difference, I think, as far as, I think location, I would like to see the numbers from Baker to reflect if it changes, if it's more in a different township or whatever,
No.
that it's moved more out of Patoka.
So Craig, I don't think that's the case, but Jared, why don't you jump in? I think the investment amount is the same and I think the townships are the same, but can you speak to that?
Hi, good morning, council. Can you all hear me? This is Jared.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think, Mary, that's right. The investment amount is not going to change, but given the percent of the project in the township, where there will be more of the facilities likely in Union Township, given we're moving some of that out of Patoka because of the move away from the economic development corridor. So we're happy to work with Baker Tilly to kind of refresh their analysis and change those percentages to be more in line with the new ERA map in advance of the public hearing later this month.
So I don't know that it hurts to go ahead and do the preliminary approval, but it just needs to be noted that it could affect the townships differently than what it was originally presented. So in the faith to advance to the meeting and to keep this moving. So are you willing to make a motion?
Keep it moving.
We have a motion to, if my words may not be exactly correct, but it's to approve the preliminary EDA agreement with the understanding that we want new numbers to represent what the change as far as the townships go. And this is by no means saying that we are approving it. It's just to advance it for discussion purposes and all that.
No obligation.
No obligation other than just to advance it. We have a motion by Mike Stillwell for that. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Derek McGraw. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of the preliminary EDA agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Mike, if you could gather signatures on that preliminary resolution, that'd be great. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, take care, everybody.
Thank you.
When they're listening to me, so it's good.
They're listening?
I can get the fastball and the curveball sometimes, but no, thank you, well, we'll look forward to
Let me see if I can.
Yes, sure, Paul.
Paul Waters, but.
Email.
Yeah, I just want to say, we all talk about. You know,
I think she is.
You know, they're holding their hand and we're holding our hand. What anybody's gonna do. I don't know this for a fact, but I think that Tenaska and Capital Dynamics have some type of formula where they plug in all of the variables, such as property tax and lease payments, all that information and economic development payments. And that comes out eventually to be what their return on investment is or their ROI. I suspect they have a bottom line ROI. And I just, first of all, I just want to say that our company is definitely in favor of the project. You know, there are several things to think about immediately, or pretty well immediately. It's going to increase, it's going to change from real estate from the agriculture, as far as property tax is concerned. I think it was commercial. Anyway, I think it's a multiple of 3 times, and that money will be coming in immediately and not be evaded. Also, obviously we need it, you know, we need that to replace what we're going to eventually lose and do. And the other thing I would like to consider, and I'm sure you have, but there's, I don't know, 50 or 60 landowners involved in this. And usually we look at this thing and say, how many employees is it going to bring in to us? And in this case, we're only talking about 4 or 5 employees at the very end. A whole bunch right at the very beginning, or maybe 150 for a couple of years. But eventually it narrows down to somewhere around 4 or 5. But you have to think about these people, these 50, 40, 50, 60 landowners that are being paid, they're gonna get paid every month, they're gonna get paid pretty healthy. If you have 40 acres in this, you're going to get $48,000 a year, or $4,000 a month. And so the way I look at that, all these 50 or so people that are landowners are getting that $4,000, $5,000, $3,000. Essentially, those are employees because they're getting that money monthly. Most of them live right here in Gibson County, and they're going to spend a huge bulk of that right here in Gibson County. So again, just wanted to, I know you know all that, but I just want to remind you as you go into your deliberations, and I sure would hope that we can land this project. Thanks.
Yep. You know, touch on that. I mean, as far as it's not new tax dollars, it's just redistributing the taxes amongst the county. I mean, the new money would come in the form of a payment like we agreed to on the other one. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think the last time Jim McDonald made that same statement as far as we were sitting there and we were having discussion as far as, well, it's 4 people or whatever, but the number of households that it does touch, and then if they are a resident of the county, they will pay the county income tax on those rental payments.
My concern is meeting their ROI that they want to get to have to do the project, because they do know what, it's like Rick said, they have other projects that they're involved in, and they can move on to another project. Maybe eventually come back to this one, but you know, I just, and I don't know how you, I don't know how you decide, but you eventually will have to make a decision on what you want to do on that project.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yep, thank you. Any other discussion under old business with the Gibson solar project? Is this our requested document?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Kay.
Thank you. I think before everybody leaves, there will be something we need to sign for that preliminary deal there. Next in our old business, additional appropriation adoption in the amount of $62,697.
That has already been advertised and everything is ready for vote.
It's ready for
To go
vote.
ahead and adopt the,
Oh, so this is different than,
that is different, yes.
Okay. So we'll do one thing at a time here. So as far as the $62,697 is for personal services. And that was for Department 41, which is court reporter being replaced. That's where we got one that's retiring.
Yes.
But will be on the payroll while the new one is going to be hired sometime in March. So $50,370 is for the court reporter, and that is in circuit or Superior, excuse me. And then Department 50 in the amount of $12,327.
The part-time person in the prosecutor 40.
Okay. So the additional is for those two items, Department 50 and Department 41. We have a motion to approve that additional appropriation. Jay and Derek. All those in favor of the additional appropriation, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll all need to sign that then. Joe, you all right with that? The additional?
I think we're gonna have to look at some pretty tight money the rest of this year. You guys are younger, you're gonna have to pay the bill. I don't want to step in and tell you what you ought to do, because you're going to be handling things for years to come.
Okay.
And I want to be fair with you. You know my conservative mind. And I think that you need to look very carefully at the amount of monies available at this time and what you might have left to start next year with. What you might have left to start next year with. Because next year, your coin is going to be sharply reduced. Let me assure you. I've looked in different directions. I check every couple months with regard to where were we last year, where are we now, and where are we likely to be the first of the year, and what are we going to have left to start business with in the year 22. Let me assure you that the year 22 is going to be a tough one for Gibson County, tax-wise. Let me reassure you of what, just let me repeat what I just said. Let me assure you that 22 and 23 are going to be tough for Gibson County. If you've got any questions, let me know. Come talk to me. I'll put it out in front of you.
We'll do that after the meeting, Bill. We got more business here.
So Bill,
Yay or nay?
So, I mean, are you going to start looking now?
we're looking,
You should start looking.
Bill, we are looking,
With all this you've talked about this morning, you've just got to take a better look at what you're doing and what's happening here. And I'm telling you, the next couple of years are going to be tough.
okay,
Because listen,
Bill,
our tax base is like this.
Bill,
This.
are you in favor of the additional appropriation or not?
I'm just abstain.
Abstain. We need to address this other part here.
Yes,
Okay.
that is for
We
the,
have another additional appropriation request. This was brought up at budget time. It involves the radio tower and the repeater. Is that with? So we had a request about the radio equipment, the tower and the repeater or something over at the jail in the amount of $21,680.
Yeah, that was, that was like back in August.
So you're just asking for the money now?
We got the claim that I turned in, and Chris gave me the number that was out of the river.
Okay, so it's been the claim, the equipment's installed and we've been billed for it. Now it's just a matter of,
we have to advertise it.
we are needing a motion to advertise in the amount of $21,680. And it was determined to come out of Riverboat budget time. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to advertise.
Derek and Jay. We have a motion and a second to advertise for an additional $21,680 out of Riverboat for the radio tower equipment over at the jail. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're good. Let's see. Well, that's all the old business, new business, veterans.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
It's been a long time since I've talked to you, but I come to you this morning with some exciting news to share with you, at least in my little world. It's pretty exciting. It's a long story, but I promise you I'll be as brief as I possibly can. Most of you are probably aware of this DAV van that we've got out back here, that flashy red, white, and blue thing. And you know its purpose is to carry disabled vets down to the VA when they can't make it to their appointments. And we got a small platoon of volunteers that manage all that. It's a really, really great system. Well, that thing is starting to develop some age and some aches and pains, and it's due for life cycle replacement. Now there's a process for that, but it's not free. And the DAV does a matching thing, you know, they expect the county to foot about half the cost of a new vehicle, and then they pick up the other half, and they go negotiate some good prices from the manufacturer and so on. That's the way it's always worked. Well, in an attempt to try to save the county a little money, about 2 years ago, I started a discussion with Toyota about the possibility of them donating a vehicle to my office. And I came to learn very quickly that they don't do that anymore. They don't just give away vehicles like they used to. Remember, in the old days, they would just give them away like there was no tomorrow. They were willing to do a matching thing, you know, on a used program vehicle that one of the managers drove for a couple of years. But the VA and the DAV, they just weren't interested in this vehicle. So for all intents and purposes, this thing was just dead in the water about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Well, you may not know, but this year is their 25th anniversary out there, Toyota. And they also just did a model change on their vans. So the kind of perfect storm just all came together. And I get a call from their public affairs a couple of months ago. The lady said, hey, what if we give you a vehicle now? I don't. So to make a long story short, they're going to give us a brand new Sienna minivan to replace this thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm tickled to death. Now that'll come in the form of a grant, a monetary grant to just go down to Kenny Kent and buy one on the lot. That's what it's going to end up looking like. There will be some excess monies in that grant for the use of, you know, benefiting vets in the county. Don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but it could be, I don't know, between 5,000 and 10,000 somewhere, just over and above the cost of the van. So that's why I'm here this morning. If I understand the process correctly, I need from you a resolution to establish a fund to accommodate those excess monies in my budget. And also to accommodate any future donations, you know, going forward, which I do get from time to time. And I just really don't have any place, you know, to do anything to do with those. So that's what I need, I think.
We just need a line item though.
Yeah, but you'll have to have a fund.
I'll set up a homeless fund and it will be exclusively for that man.
Yeah, that's fun.
Would
Do
be,
anything?
I think just you guys approving it so that it goes in the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the setting up of this fund.
so give it to Derek and Dan.
I feel like I made a lot of decisions today.
You have, you've only walked one once, when it said 950 million. So we have a motion and a second to establish a fund, a line to accommodate the van expense or other expenses as far as donations being attributed to that, so.
As always,
yeah. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, two more quick things. If you were not aware, it's got to be going through somebody's mind right now. What are the operating expenses for that thing? And as far as the county is concerned, zero. The VA picks up 100% of the maintenance and the fuel and insurance and all that. So if you didn't know, then that may do. And then lastly, I just want you to know this ball is moving really, really fast. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, they want to shoot some kind of a video thing. I don't totally even understand what that's about, but by the end of the month, we should have it in hand and on the road. Awesome. So
Great.
I think on the 31st, they're going to want to do some kind of a ceremonial deal, you know, and invite the media and take some pictures and all that. So, yes, sir.
My letter, and it could be down.
Yeah. It's going to have some of that gaudy DAV patriotic stuff all over it. But we're also going to do a donated by TMMI type of deal, you know, out of appreciation for their partnership here.
Yep, appreciate your hard work making that happen.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
They're doing a good job for us.
Thank you,
Bill. Surveyor?
Yeah. My name is Scott Martin, Guest County Surveyor. I have 2 or 3 things I'm asking for approval today. First, I wanted to remind the council that our extra higher overtime was, I believe, was removed from everyone's budget this year. I know some people have been, not everyone, but there's some people asking for that back. And I would like to ask for an appropriation of $7,200 for that line item. We typically, every summer, we refer to it as an intern. We hire someone for about 3 months, typically. It's a college student that's interested in either civil engineering or surveying. seeking that degree. This allows me, my assistant, Orville, this allows me to send him out, usually it's 2.5, 3 months, but this allows me to send him, I have enough field work that every day the weather allows, we can be out in the field all day long. A lot of this information that's gathered on our ditches and section corners is brought in during this time, and a lot of this work, a lot of this information that's brought in is kind of looked at through the other months of the year. Of course, with our ditch work, we generally try to stay out of the ditches during farming season when crops are in. So a lot of our ditch inspections and our section corner information that's brought in throughout the summer keeps us busy during the winter. So this is a very, very important part-time position for our office. The other thing that we've been having trouble with recently is when we're looking for that type of intern, an intern that is interested and willing to do the work and wanting to learn, it benefits us. What we have found is when we're looking for those people, a lot of the engineering firms are also looking for interns for the summer for college kids. It puts the competition on us as far as our pay. So I would also like to be able to pay up to $15 an hour if needed, if I need to draw someone or attract someone to this position. Not that might not necessarily what I come out with, but I would like to be able to compete with some of the engineering firms that I think even last year I had a couple interested, act like they were gonna be able to work for us and found more money elsewhere. So with the type of individual we're looking for, I think it benefits the county if you have someone that is interested and partially taking the job. We like to call it an intern position. So there's a couple things there I guess I'm asking for. I'm asking for $7,200. This should get us, if I did have to pay up to $15 an hour, this would give us a solid 3 months of work there. Not that we wouldn't use it all. Sometimes it's only 2.5. A lot of times what I found is the students want a couple weeks off before they return to school. So generally it's 2.5 months, but $7,200, I believe, at $15 an hour would give us a solid 3 months of position. So
How many hours a week?
and that $7,200 a week, 40 hours a week. Intern, we only pay 7.5 hours a day, that they do not get paid for their lunch. We don't pay them for their lunch, give them a half an hour unpaid lunch. So this actually would be, my number I calculated off of $8 per month. So maybe it'd be a little over, but yes, we 7.5 hours a day is what the intern rate. That's what we pay them.
They were paid more than 24 hours a week. They don't follow our policy because Michael's years ago found something that said that they are temporary help. And we have found that with the
Vaccine
clinic.
clinic. Okay.
And so that, they only work the 2.5, 3. So, and honestly, in the past, Scott can tell you, they don't always get 40 hours a week. A lot of times it's less.
But what about the $15 an hour request?
I'm afraid that we don't have anybody else with the exception.
Vaccine clinic's making $15
Right.
an hour. The testing site, Tim's office is making 11 and 12 for the deputy, 13 for the deputy, and the part-timers, well, Kathy's making 10, but if you use part-time in the dispatch, it's 12, isn't it? 11 or 12?
Probably 12.
Yeah, I think it's 12. But everybody else is making, well, now that's not true. The billing clerk in the ambulance is making 11. So, but everybody else is making 10.
Okay.
Again, with the type of individual that we seek someone that is either, second, third, somewhere in the middle of their schooling or interested in pursuing a career in engineering, civil engineering. Maybe archaeology or geology a couple times, but we try to seek the,
So it's a guarantee that the individual will be pursuing a degree. It won't just be a high school, somebody right off the street.
no, we tend to look for somebody that's pursuing a degree. There has been, recently, our last intern was pursuing a degree. Again, we were having, last year, we were having a lot of trouble finding someone that was willing to work for $10 an hour. He was actually not pursuing a degree specific to engineering. He was pursuing in criminal justice.
Oh.
But, he was a really good worker.
Yeah.
That was late in the year when we finally, all of our prospects had dropped down.
Yeah. I would just have a little bit of trouble setting the $15 amount. I mean, some negotiation might be there, but what's the will of the council as far as refunding a part-time dollar amount and then,
Take away the part-time call and then intern. Probably didn't label it something different than part-time.
you know, looking for a motion to force. I mean, it's something that's happened for a long, long time, that they've had that additional work help in there to do this type of work. So we just need to know what you want to call it and at what rate. Up to $7,200 is the request.
Do we have to address the salary ordinance if it's an intern?
I would like to get it on the salary ordinance.
What would we
because
do for the $15 an hour?
I put it on there. I did put the change on. I mean, you can word it up to, and then I can pay less. You know,
The
because.
problem with that too is it always gets two.
Well,
We'll never miss that mark. do we?
No.
But I can tell you that Michael Stevenson, we had 10, and he did not pay them $10 an hour because he felt that was his choice when to bump them up.
Right.
So,
That's kind of why, that's why I stated it up to. I feel like if we had somebody that was interested and they're calling him back and saying, you know.
My first question, is this something that you have to have to get your job done? Well, we removed all that to get through the budget. And slowly we're putting all that in. That was what we said during budget, I mean, but everybody would have to come and explain. Is that absolutely necessary?
Yes, it is. It really is. We check over 100 spray contracts throughout the summer. Many of the section corners are in the middle of the road, or in roadways oftentimes. So it's hard for one guy to have his head down, looking at equipment and other things like that. It's pertinent to what we do.
I was just like, get over the first hurdle there.
Yeah, hopefully we can find somebody, but, and that has typically come out of extra higher overtime. That's where that's been in the budget,
in the 1006 budget.
in the 1006 budget. So, as far as something in intern, I don't know, and, you know, I think I would like to be able to, if I found a good worker that was interested in the work, whether he was in college or not, I would like to think, I mean, I might find somebody that intends to go to college or is interested in the work. I would hate to limit that to a stipulation.
Sure.
But
So the two items that we need to figure out is do we want to reinstate part-time intern status and a per hour wage amount? So enough discussion. That's just, somebody needs to be willing to make a motion or this dies.
I'll make the motion that we approve him up to $7,200.
We want to increase that.
That
It
we.
needs to be more than 72?
Yeah, not for him, but we want to put another $600 in the benefits in the social security line in the commissioners,
So instead of 72, make it 8.
78.
78 will cut it.
Yeah.
78.
That will allow him to hire an intern at his discretion to pay what he sees suitable to get this position filled. Not to exceed $15 a month. Make sense?
We have a second?
I probably would say, to be quite honest, got other employees that are, I think, grade one,
Mhm.
just like this. can be- I see that it needs a position. I agree with things to be brought up, I also agree that one do too, no one kind of got a raise this year either. For one person. The actual raise
Right.
for one position. See that as being. Very possible for other people that. They get a raise or that is that.
Right.
Other level.
Right. No second? If it dies, you want to revise your motion, Mike? No? Okay.
I mean, I motion to part-time money at $10 an hour rate.
We have a motion to fund the position at a $10 an hour rate. We have a motion and a second for $7,800. And the standard pay would be based off of what it's in the salary ordinance, and that's a $10 rate, Tim. Everybody understand the motion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody? Yes.
So now we need to go back to additional appropriations,
Okay.
and we need an additional appropriation for 7,800 for general fund. Or,
We need the motion to advertise
What we just did.
$7,800 out of the general fund for the part-time. Eric, have a second? Jay, second. All those in favor of the advertising for the additional appropriation for the part-time and the surveyors in the amount of $7,800, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Also had a second appropriation. Has to do with the Section 1 perpetuation fund. We currently have appropriated in there, I think I talked to Christie on the phone yesterday, $6,521.13. I would like to ask for an additional appropriation of $35,000 for this year. In that fund, we have some projects coming up, and we need that money. This, of course, is Section 4 money. This is needed for Section 4.
What's in there?
And there is, I believe, Christie told me yesterday, there's $43,081.20.
Just refresh all of ours.
January.
You usually ask for this amount the first of the year. Isn't that about the same amount you request each year?
That's about the same amount I request each year. We had done some work last year, didn't use the amount that was requested last year. What happened is the bill for the work that was done last year came in January. So we ended up using that this year's, we didn't use last year's appropriation. We ended up using this year's appropriation because of the timing of the.
This is the only thing it can be used for.
Yes, and that's the only thing.
The law says we have to appropriate it. Right.
So this is for work that you hire other surveyors to do for you?
This is work that we work with other surveyors to, effectuate.
Section quarter.
And,
Is that common for all counties that they hire it out?
yes. And this fund is created, I believe there's $5 for each recorded document. It's one of those type funds in the recorder's office.
Okay.
And it is, it's actually NEIC that is.
Okay. So what was the amount again?
Perpetuation fund.
35,000 even?
That's what I'm asking additional appropriation.
Did you make a motion, Derek?
I just did.
Have a second? Joey seconds. All those in favor of the motion to appropriate the 35,000 out of the section quarter, how would you say that word? Perpetuation fund. It's hard to talk with a mask on, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill?
Abstain.
Is that it, Scott?
Yes, thank you, John.
All right. Any other new business? Any public comment?
Can I have a public comment?
Yes.
Well, believe it or not, the library is almost completed on an expansion project. We have now seen the nitty-gritty things that have to be done. So on April the 11th, which is the Sunday after Easter, at 1:30, we're having a ribbon cutting. You're all invited. We're going to have people there so you can mingle and find out what we did. Let's take a look at it. So we will be getting invitations, but this is a full warrant. Please come and see the new life expansion park. See how we redid the whole library, moved every single book in that library twice. Okay. And we know where they're at now. Oh, we still have found some stuff to move. So please come and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Motion adjourned.
Bill,
Yeah,
you got, this has to end by 11 o'clock at the absolute latest.
I just want to,
Everybody, we got to sign this document before we leave.
I just want to point out what's not happening with the census and the redistricting. The General Assembly is in to March now, and they're working on the budget. Now, this session will run through April, but it's unlikely, it looks at this time, that they're going to get this census so that it can move on with the redistricting of the state and of course, Congress. So I just like to get the word out to the taxing entities in the county. I wouldn't get in too big a hurry here with putting my budget together. You can start on these things, and I know I try to keep them advised of what's happening so that they can look a couple years ahead. But this, it's unlikely that they're going to get this redistricting and anything like this done during the regular session. So if this happens, it'll be probably, and it looks like, now this isn't for sure here now, but it looks like that the special session will happen maybe in September. And if that happens in September, there's going to be a lot of different possibilities of how this is going to affect different budgets, even the county's budget, because of the reassessment and everything. You're all pretty aware, I think, of 1348 and 1381. And this is going to affect in different ways the assessed value that we come up with. And I just a while ago, I brought up the fact of this say, deal to the southeast as far as solar is concerned, and like this. We need, through proper process, to get these solar deals on the tax roll. Our tax roll is being hit hard. And so this is, I just bring this up that this is going to take time and like this, so I had a lot of other things I wanted to discuss, but I see no reason to do this because my ideas clash in too many cases. But this is my thought on keep in touch with the two senators.
Okay.
From day to day on the status of these bills, because this can affect us in a big way. But if we can get both of those solar deals on the tax roll, this is going, right now, we've got a tax base in the personal property tax deal of about 2.4, between that and $2.5 billion. But that is being hit hard. Peabody, but Peabody alone and that big chunk they took off is not it. It's the amount of people that aren't working, and we're coming up short with our edit funds and with our court funds and with our jail tax funds for the next 2 or 3 years. You're going to get hit hard. And this year, you better start thinking about what I said a while ago. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn and a second. Motion by Derek. Adios.